hamstring mobility. If you are struggling with L-sits, toes to bar, hanging leg raise, or if you struggle with like touching your toes and all that kind of stuff, hamstrings are generally one of the big sort of muscle groups that are restricting those movements and that are going to hinder your progress. So you might be strong enough to do an L-sit, but you can't physically straighten your legs because your hamstrings are tight. I'm going to run through a couple of drills and a stretch that are going to help start improving your hamstring mobility that you can start doing every day. Some of them I'll go through frequency towards the end. First one is just a little warm-up movement, but it's a good one just to start moving, getting the hamstrings open and just getting some blood pumping in the legs. So the first one is 2 squat, 2 pike. So my feet are together. I'm going to stay on the balls of my feet. My heels can come off the ground. It's just a warm-up. I'm just going to drop down into a full closed knee squat and bounce a couple of times. 1, 2. And then I'm going to stand up and I'm going to drive my knees back and a little bounce with my knees locked out. So this is 2 squat, 2 pike. As you warm up into it, you can start reaching behind you a little bit. To start with, you might have to come up a lot higher to get that hamstring stretch. Better this than being lower and not being able to lock the knees out. So you're going to come up to a point where you can lock your knees out and actually get a little dynamic stretch through your hamstrings. So bounce, bounce, bounce in the bottom, bounce in the top. And this is 2 squat, 2 pike. Really good one. Do it first thing in the morning, loosens your back off, hamstrings, etc. The next one, we're going to go to the mat and we're going to do roll over toe touch, which is a common movement we use in warm-ups, but there's a little spin on it. And again, this is a good one to do first thing if you suffer from tight lower backs, hamstrings. So we're going to spend some time in that finishing position. So we're going to come over the top. If you can't get the feet on the floor, that's fine. In the morning, I'm a lot more here than I am here. But to set up, we're going to lock the knees, that's the key point. So again, you might be here or wherever, but you're just trying to let gravity open everything up. And then gradually, as you relax into it, spend some time here, we can get to the floor. We can go feet wider if that's easier. And we're just going to spend some time in there, so up to a minute, just feet over the top. The key point being, for this one, we're going to lock the knees and just bring them as low down as possible. So you might be here, but you're just going to let gravity open all this up. And again, key feature is the knees are locked, so this is going to be mainly your back. We're going to lock the knees out and then let the weight of the legs stretch the hamstrings out. So that is a hold, roll over toe touch hold with knees locked is the second one that you can do first thing in the morning and also as a kind of warm up into your hamstring stretching. The next one is going to be a loaded sort of strengthener, but we're going to lengthen the hamstrings under some load. Go nice and light. It's a Jefferson curl. You might have done them before. We're going to set up on a box or on a step, feet together. And the key feature here is the knees are locked, or ideally locked, soft knees, but lock knees if you can. Start at the top, and we're going to curl our spine down one vertebrae at a time. Going to squeeze your bum to protect your back, and you're going to squeeze your quads to lock these knees out. And then once we get to kind of here, it's all hamstrings. So I'm going to relax and let the weight pull me down. As I'm doing it, I'm actively trying to pull my ribs. So I'm using my core, breathing out, and using my core to try and pull my ribs to my knees. And then I'm going to let the weight pull us into a hamstring stretch. 5 seconds in the bottom to come out. You're going to squeeze your bum again. Think about squeezing your glutes. Keep the knees locked and uncurl. 5 reps. 5 second hold at the bottom of each rep. key points on this one again are if you've got really tight hammies, you may find that you start to get legs shaking towards the end of your range, and then you'll feel like you want to bend the knees to try and get lower. The bending of the knees just gets us away from the hamstring stretch. So you're better off finishing here and hanging out, loading those hamstrings up, than you are bending the knees and getting down here. So really focus on keeping the knees pressed back, and don't be tempted to let the knees unlock or creep forwards. So those are the movement side of things, and then the stretch, which is a really, really good way of getting into these hamstrings and spending some time there, is this. It's one from Kit Lachlan. It's probably one of the most effective hamstring stretches we can do. We're going to set up at the front of your mat, chest on your thigh. So it's important that we're resting our weight on our leg. And ideally, you want to be able to support your weight with your arms. So you might have yoga blocks here if you can't get this low. This is the initial setup, and then to get into your hamstring stretch, we're going to toe knee our way back into a hamstring stretch on the front leg. And now I can support my weight with my hands. Got a gentle stretch through my hamstring. You don't want to go into full end range. So I could, if I wanted to, get here, but this is like really uncomfortable. I'm really pulling on the muscles, and you're just going to create a lot of apprehension in your your stretch reflex is going to come on, and your body's going to tighten up. So rather than that, I'm just going to walk out until I get a gentle stretch, which is about there. Relax, nasal breathing, calm breaths. A couple of checks to do. Is your belly soft? If you're holding tension, chances are your belly's going to be tight. Relax the belly. And now you're trying to get a connection to your hamstring. So you're trying to feel the hamstring relax. So you're trying to feel your hamstrings, feel the muscles that are on slight tension, and try and whatever you need to do to kind of let go of that tension. And you spend at least a minute to 90 seconds here. If after sort of 45 seconds you do feel that relaxation happen, and it now becomes comfortable as opposed to a little bit of discomfort, then we can sort of creep it out a little bit further. But again, we're not going all the way into that kind of dead stop end range. Spending time here, learning how to relax these muscles under tension. That you can do every day. If you want to turn this into a more sort of PNF stretch, which I would recommend doing once a week, twice a week max, then it's the same setup. You're starting off in that same sort of initial gentle stretch point. You're going to do 60-second hold, and you're going to do 3 rounds of 10-second contract the hamstrings, followed by an out breath and a relaxation. The contraction is going to be created by you trying to sweep your heel down through the floor and back towards your knee behind you. So I'm going to get set up. After my 60 seconds passive stretch, I'm going to try and pull my heel down into the ground and back towards my knee, and that's going to create a strong contraction in my hamstrings. I'm going to hold that for 10 seconds, and then after 10 seconds, I'm going to breathe out and relax. Let that settle in for a couple of seconds. And then once you've done that, you're going to, if you can, again, without going to full super end range, I'm just going to try and eke out a little bit more range where I'm that slight discomfort. You're then going to spend 10 seconds there, just getting used to that new stretch. And then you're going to do your contraction again. So 10 seconds, you're going to pull your heel towards your knee as hard as you can. Hard enough to create some tension in the hamstrings. Breathe out, relax. You may want to stay here to do the last contraction. You might feel like you can get a little bit more without going to that really horrible end range. And then you do one more contract, relax here, and then you can sit here for another 30 seconds to a minute just to let your body get used to that new range. You'd then come out of it by walking the back knee forwards so you're not pulling on your hamstring, and then do the same on the other side. But I would only recommend doing the contract relax protocol once a week, treat it like strength training. You can do the gentle stretch passively every day to start with. Once you start to open up and you feel like you're getting some range, you can drop it back a bit rather than just doing it every day relentlessly. But that's a few drills. I would do the 2 squat, 2 pike and the rollover toe touch every morning if you've got tight hammies and back. The Jefferson curls once or twice a week, and then I would do this every day passive, and then do the contract relax once or twice a week tops. Once a week's plenty. Hope that's helpful. Give it a go and let us know how you get on.